The doctrines devised in the darkest ages are still held. Let none deceive themselves. The papacy that Protestants are now ready to honor is the same that ruled the world in the days of the Reformation.
Pope Francis is without doubt a man of the Second Vatican Council.
But the little horn tries to change the law of God.
I just signed an executive order putting the flags of our country, all of them, all federal flags and state flags, at half-mast in honor of Pope Francis. So,
indeed, this was a person who had a very positive attitude towards Russia.
The Vatican says Pope Francis will remain in the hospital as he battles a respiratory tract infection.
What do you want to see in terms of the next pope?
Visit Rome on church business, a place where he originally stayed as Cardinal Bergoglio.
Carissimi fratelli e sorelle, con profondo dolore.
And I get a bit cheeky here because I challenge my Protestant pastor friends. If there is no more protest, how can there be a Protestant church? Maybe we're all Catholics again.
That principle, but to be fair to the Catholic, it changed in 1965.
If somebody wants to understand Pope Francis and his way of proceeding and his leadership, needs to go back to the experience, to the decrees, and to the development of the church provoked by the Second Vatican Council.
All right, the Pope has passed away. Where do we go prophetically in a light of what's happening? Where do you see the pendulum? Where do you see the pendulum swing? Because he was more of a liberal type of pope, right? He was for the gays. He was pushing. He was even attacking the church, and he was somewhat loose and tight on the pedophilic stuff going on in the church. But also he will promote atheism. He will say God is not a wizard, stuff like that. Now that he's gone, the world is very sympathetic. A lot of leaders are going to the funeral of the Pope. But we as Seventh-day Adventists, how do you interpret the prophecies now since Pope Francis has passed away? What do you think is next in the move of Catholicism that could be somewhat a reflection of Bible prophecy?
I see the Gaetans are laughing over there, so I want to hear what they got to say.
Please go ahead. We would love to hear it.
Oh man, discussion. We had this discussion. We were sitting at the table when she was like, "Babe, he died," and the first thing came to my mind, like, "Oh wait, hold up." I'm a big fan. I think we need to study more of the prophecies of Daniel.
Yeah.
And the King of the South, King of the South. You notice that this was a pope that was a Jesuit, which is the Jesuits were the creators of the King of the South. So it's still the same power. Most people don't think about that. King of the South, King of the North is the same entity. It's just a secret, the secret side of it, right? So it's the army of the Pope anyways. So here I look at it as like, okay, we now see a shift. The pendulum is shifting towards the Jesuit Pope needs to go away so we can have a Pope's Pope, a Popery Pope, to bring in the King of the North back. So that's what I saw from it, because, even when they said he's the people's Pope, right? Well, Ellen White makes a statement which he talks about about how the people will go to the government and ask for certain things to be done. And right now we have a president in the United States, which is also called the people's president, right? So I think apostate Protestantism is now ripening to attack the King of the South to bring people back to the King of the North.
I gotta tell you, man. You must have been studying my notes. It's crazy because I'm literally. Have you seen my videos lately on the King of the North and King of the South videos that I've been
doing? I've only seen like one video of yours ever. My wife watches more.
Yeah, I never even. That's the Holy Spirit.
God is good.
I'm saying the same exact thing. I put out 2 videos. I don't know if you can look at it. You will hear exactly. I'm echoing the same thing. This is totally King of the North and King of the South's kind of behavior. They want to swing, just like James Milam said the same thing earlier. You go far left and then you go far right. But with far right into Romanism, not actually true Protestant Reformation, by the way, because we are told under one head, the whole world is going to follow and worship the beast. So we do know the beast has to be exalted. Something has to happen to bring, even the death of the Pope is literally giving more power to the king of the sword, the king of the north notion that, hey, yeah, we need to sympathize and his principles. There's something about death that really gets people's attention. Like Jesus got their disciples' attention after he passed away. Like something about death. It can really become a weapon if it is used. And I think sometimes even the Catholic Church knows that. They openly open the coffin. You can see the body of the Pope. Like this is all psychologically and emotionally intentional to get people to sympathize. Like it's very crazy. Even in some places of Catholic, diocese, you can go and you can still touch the coffin and see the physical body of these dead popes, and you can pray to them, right? They have the worship of the relics and everything. I think all that plays a role, but the way this is being pumped by the media, everybody's talking about this. It's like it's all over the place. Yeah. King of the South is marching on with his theory all over again. They're swinging the pendulum far to the right, and that's why my videos, I said it has to be a conservative pope. It has to be a conservative pope. And
I think it could be.
Can I interject there?
Yes.
Yes and no. This is where it looks like.
Okay.
But here's where we Adventists, we have to be careful.
Mm-hmm.
I met so many Adventists. Oh, Pope Francis is the last pope, is the last pope, is the last pope.
It's crazy. Yeah?
These people now have egg on their face. And it hurt their witness. Because he obviously is not the last pope. Now, we know the last pope is Antichrist. Is the next one going to be the last pope? Wait and see.
Wait and see.
Exactly. Yep.
Wait and see. Francis was used to put a piece of the puzzle together to create sympathy for Catholicism from the world. There may be another puzzle piece, and this next pope could last 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 years. He may or may not be the last. Let us not say he's the last.
Yes.
But we do know it has to go. By the last pope is going to be a hard line, back to the basics, back to the foundations Catholic. Okay? But let's not get ourselves caught in that trap that, this is the last one.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying it's the last one.
Let me add this. Let me add this.
I agree.
And this may be taking it a little bit, just a little bit to the left. There's a quote that states that Rome has had her day. I don't know if you've read that before. And the reason why I'm bringing that up, I believe the legacy in which the previous Jesuit Pope left has been written out very clearly for the daughters to go ahead and follow. And so when we look at the evangelical daughters, they're the next on the scene to go ahead and carry out the very principles of Catholicism, because they're just an extension of that system. Okay. So even though I don't minimize the papal seat, it's already class hands with our nation over here as we've seen both flags flown under the Obama administration. So what we're seeing implemented in our country right now under various executive orders, we're seeing the final tearing down of what remains of the United States Constitution, so that now the evangelicals can come on the scene and legislate the agenda of the papacy.
Yeah. Okay. The thing is, I'm so glad you guys both saying this. We have to be careful that we don't center the prophecies around a pope, right? Because it's not a pope really thing so much.
Exactly.
Yeah, he plays a role.
Correct.
He plays a role, but it's the principle that is behind the scene that we have to look at in the prophetic events. So even if we get another liberal pope, because we know it is apostate Protestantism that are going to cry out for an image to be made to the beast. So it doesn't matter what the Pope is or where he stands, but if the right events takes place, pushes, going back to what Elder Brian says, all it takes is the proper events to push forward and cause the people to cry out and say, let's make an image to the beast. So irrespective of where the Pope is, it doesn't matter. But it is still something that needs to be considered. But I think we might get something either far right or somewhere more traditional in nature.
Yeah.
But the goal what we have to look at prophetically, like we are told, and White tells us, we have to look at the signs of the times. Christ tells us that we have to follow the signs, and everything is on schedule. Every waymark of the prophetic journey, we don't have to guess because they are going to take place at the appropriate time. But we have to be careful that we don't start setting dates and start determining the prophecies by a single individual. That's not the right way to study it either. But I think we are certainly heading for some serious times.
Yes.
The way I'm looking at it is like, and again, we are told, Jesus says in Matthew 24, verse 8, there shall be signs in the sun, in the moon, and the stars. There's going to be distress of nations, earthquakes and wars. But he says all these things are beginning of sorrows. So we're going to see an increase in both frequency and intensity of these prophetic events. Things are going to get worse, and worse and worse. So eventually it will bring people to their knees. And I think whoever is in the position in the papacy, it will play a role pushing forward Roman Catholicism, while the daughters assisting to pretty much the daughters are setting the throne for the kings to sit. But they don't realize that's what they're doing though, because they think they are just trying to bring the nation back to God. They're trying to make America great again. But he can't go too far. He can't go too far, and he will go too far. That's what we are told prophetically.
Yeah, I've even seen in some secular articles, because it's not just an Adventist view, that it's potentially might be at the very least a more traditional Catholic pope or a more conservative one. I've read an article where it seems like the world is expecting them to go a little bit more to the right this time around, because whereas Pope Francis was very beloved, there were a lot of Catholics that did not like him because the more conservative Catholics had an issue with a lot of his policies. And so the word out there is that they probably are looking for at least someone to bring it more traditional, if not more to the conservative side. So, but, time will tell. We'll see. I think they're going to select one in the next 4 or 5 weeks, I believe. So I think they'll be starting the process soon.
Francis's role was to bring the world in sympathy with Catholicism.
Yeah,
that was his role.
I agree.
Mission complete. Mission complete.
Yeah. Actually, even even the Jesuit father himself. Let me pull a video up for you because we got the archives here. Here it is, because he's gonna tell you, because I did a video about this just 2 days ago. The father of the Jesuits, his name is Sosa. When he was asked on the podcast, why do you stand when it comes to Pope Francis and what he's doing? He's not traditional. He says you kind of have to go to Vatican II to understand what Pope Francis is doing. There it is, the video here. Actually, in fact, let me pull the one that I just did, because he already had he has a quotation already in there. There we go.
Pope Francis is without doubt a man of the Second Vatican Council.
For sure.
You are young people and you don't remember Vatican Council, but if somebody wants to understand Pope Francis and his way of proceeding and his leadership, needs to go back to the experience, to the decrees, and to the development of the church provoked by the Second Vatican Council. That's a reference points that we cannot forget if we want to understand what is going on in the church and in the mind and the heart of Pope Francis.
He just gave you the key. You see,
praise God.
If people are not paying attention to what he just said here, he said, if you want to understand Pope Francis, and again, this is the father of the Jesuits.
Yeah.
Listen, that guy, when he speaks, you should actually listen. You should. People ignore Arturo Sosa because he's more mild in his behavior. I get it, but when he speaks, he's telling you, as a leading figure in the Jesuits movement, what's really going on. Even though sometimes we know there's the end justify the means. They will lie if they have to and stuff like that. But nevertheless, but don't miss that point what he just said here. Go to Vatican II to understand Pope Francis. So what was Vatican II, the Second Vatican Council, all about? Well, there were a number of things, but one of the things that they wanted to do is ecumenical dialogues. That's it. Ecumenism, bringing the daughters back to Rome. That was the main goal.
Right.
Pope Francis has done that.
He's done it.
He's done it. Mission accomplished. We don't have to fight. He did his job already. Mission accomplished. So that's why he can say what he said. Actually, I had an article on here. Yeah, there it goes. There goes the article right there. From Antichrist to our brother in Christ, how Protestant pastors view the Pope.
Wow.
Mission accomplished, fellas. Mission accomplished.
Hey, what does Dr. O say? It's over?
It's over.
It's over.
It's over. So they used to see him as Antichrist. No longer do they see him as Antichrist. You notice why they don't protest in these churches? Pope Francis did his job. Mission accomplished. And that's why we have men like Ganoun Diab. When we have Ganoun Diab saying the Pope has changed, listen, oh man, that guy.
For example, for religious liberty, everybody knows that during the Middle Age, the Catholic Church did not live according to that principle. But to be fair to the Catholic, it changed in 1965, when they have the Second Vatican Council, because they made a declaration for religious liberty. So this is why we cannot slander Catholics just to say, oh no, they are against. Yeah, historically, because of the Inquisition and so forth, it was terrible, and the Catholics were not a model. But that changed in 1965 with the document Dignitatis Humanae, for example.
Wow, I'll tell you, boy. I want to bring him to Look and Live. I want to bring him to Advent Media Connect and say, brother, are you serious? Like, are we reading the same? Are we reading the same Bible? Have you read the Great Controversy at all? Do you believe the words of the prophet? To say that the Catholic Church has changed, brother, you got to be crazy. Like, what I understand his argument is because the church is fighting now in religious liberty and so on. What we are told the reason it's doing that is because it's a chameleon. It's a chameleon. It changes colors wherever it fits. And as a matter of fact, you can go far into the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire was known for adopting and actually synchronizing other worlds, empires, systems, and theories and philosophies. When they took over Greece, they brought that's why it was known Greco-Roman. They will bring whatever they have, they will suck it in, and then they will create their version of it. So it's actually a practice, and we are told if the dragon, which is Rome, give power and seat and great authority to the beast, what kind of behavior you think the beast is going to have? It can change its behavior for the time to get what it wants. But has the Catholic Church changed their doctrine? Give me one doctrine from Catholicism that's been changed.
None.
Not one.
And what's funny is it's interesting you brought that up, because I personally did call the General Conference, and I was trying to reach Ganoun Diab to pray with him and speak to him his stance and everything like that. And I come to realize when I heard that they had the Great Controversy to the Great Hope or something like that, that in the Great Hope, I don't know if they reverted that decision, but in the Great Hope, they took out a lot of stuff. That's why I always tell people we should read the Conflict of Ages series from Patriarchs and Prophets, Prophets and Kings, Desire of Ages, Acts of the Apostles, and the Great Controversy in its entirety. In fact, every Thursday, my husband and I, we host a reading at 7 p.m. We won't tonight because we'll be attending the Religious Liberty this evening. But we encourage people, our people, Adventists, we need to read this, because it spells out liberty of conscience. And when we read these conflict that we just straight through, along with the testimonies, volumes 1 through 9, we will not be deceived as God people. We'll be crying, we'll be sighing and crying, as Ezekiel talks about. We'll understand why that this is not right. We wake up and see, but we're not reading the councils, because these Conflict of Ages series line up with the scriptures from Genesis to Revelation. It's literally the whole Bible, right? So
yeah, you're right. The danger is when a man is in that position. I sympathize a little bit because of his work. And I can understand even B.B. Beach going far back. The moment he met the Pope, he gave him a medallion and said I was a nice man and things like that. You can talk about individuals and respect them for what they are because they're just character, human beings just like us. But what you have to understand when you're dealing with an entire system and you say the Catholic Church has changed, you made a huge statement right there. You're not just talking about a man now. You're talking about an entire system has changed. And we are told in Bible prophecy that this is not the case. Like, as a matter of fact, let me open it up. I have the quote right there, and then I'll stop ranting because that stuff threw me off. Because I'm like, yo, you are totally misguiding people. But I'll tell you what, the people are not misguided because actually, at least the people that are watching our channel, they can tell. They're like, oh, this brother's tripping.
Quote from Great Controversy 571.
Oh, my man, are you reading my thoughts?
I have it open in front of me. That's why I share it.
It's on the screen. You see, you guys are doing this. Elder Guy then been doing this the whole time. So here's the thing: the papacy is just what the prophecy declared that she would be, the apostasy of the latter times. It is a part of her policy to assume character which will best accomplish her purpose. But beneath the variable appearance of the chameleon, she conceals the invenerable venom of the serpent. This is, I didn't say that. I'm just reading the words of the prophet. Faith ought not to be kept with heretics, they say, nor persons suspected of heresy. She declared, shall this power, whose record for thousands of years is written in the bloods of saints, now be now acknowledged as part of the Church of Christ? But here is the problem. The problem is not the papacy has changed. It is actually Protestant today who have changed. I will go as far to say it is us, Seventh-day Adventists, who've changed, not Rome. We are told it is not without reason that the claim has been put forth in the Protestant countries that Catholicism differ less widely from the Protestantism than in former times. There has been a change, she says, but the change is not in the papacy. Catholicism is indeed resemble much of the Protestantism that now exists because Protestantism has now so greatly degenerated since the day of the Reformation. And this is why when we go on back to Rome, really we are eating at Jezebel's table. We simply say, oh, we're having these dialogues. We are observatory. We have observatory status. We are just listening. It's like, what? And now, where is the protest? And that's why when you look into many of our churches, you cannot hear the three angels' messages. They will not dare to identify the papacy. They're very apologetic about what they believe. I'm like, what is going on? It's because we're making concession to Rome. We are in ecumenical dialogues, and we thinking this stuff doesn't have power. Influence is power. You got to be careful with this stuff because little by little, you will find yourself compromising your position. When you read, for example, and this is my last one, and I'm done ranting. When you read Psalms chapter 1, for example, this is what I call the steps to apostasy right there. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly. Only many of us, it's exactly what they're doing. We walk in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. Walking in gossip of the ungodly, standing in the way of sinners, sitting in the seat of the scornful, apostasy. So when you go there and you sit there, you walk with them, you eat with them, you read their books, you sing from their music notes. You think something is not happening to you from a religious standpoint? Yes, it is. It is. And now what you do, you no longer protest. Now you're saying the Catholic Church has changed. And now when we speak about it, you say we are critical ministries. And that was the message we were preaching a couple of years ago. That's why it's so difficult now to go to many of our local churches and you cannot find this message because there's been an attack waged on this message. Anyway, I'm done.
There's another quote from Great Controversy that just adds to it. It is 571. It says, the Roman Church now presents a fair front to the world, covering with apologies her record of horrible cruelties. She has clothed herself in Christ-like garments, but she is unchanged. Every principle of the papacy that existed in the past ages exists today. The doctrines devised in the darkest ages are still held. Let none deceive themselves. The papacy that Protestants are now ready to honor is the same that ruled the world in the days of the Reformation.